Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, I know Bitcoin has come down a little bit, and some of you guys may be wondering what is going on. In fact, I think this move was pretty predictable, so I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to explain why a massive Bitcoin pump or bounce could be coming real soon. Real soon. So let's discuss what's going on with Bitcoin and within the world of crypto today. So thanks for tuning in. As always, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. And make sure you check out all the latest news article guides on CryptosRUs.com. And be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All right, guys, welcome. Lively crowd today. I know I like saying that. And normally it's true. And today is a little bit more livelier than the previous week. And that's because Bitcoin had kind of like a down day, right? Yesterday, Bitcoin came all the way up back almost to 50,000. And today it went right back down to about 47,000. And of course, you guys see I have this green arrow drawn out. Why do I think something like this could be coming in the nearest future? Why is it coming soon? Well, let's go back memory lane. This is something that I talked about earlier this week. And I left my lines up, or arrows, I should say, up on purpose because actually I'm going to show you guys that may blow your mind. But anyways, I did show this before with these arrows. And I was talking about basically there's a phenomenon that's been happening with August with Bitcoin. Basically, you have Friday going to Monday. Very good pumps. And then from basically Monday afternoon, Tuesday, all the way to Friday, you have a pretty significant decline. And it has happened for 3 weeks straight. And look like it's happening right now. So I kind of told you guys this, although yesterday it seemed like, oh, we kind of like broke out of it. But if you look at it, no, we really didn't because we were still at a lower high. But take a look at this. I think this will surprise you guys. Let me get rid of this arrow first of all. But if I just move this arrow, all right, I don't even manipulate it. I just move it here. See how that fits almost exactly 100%. Like the pattern is exactly the same. Okay, and if this holds true, because we're going into tomorrow, Friday, tomorrow very early in the morning is options expiration and futures expiration, right? So it would explain that yes, we're following the same pattern, and going into tomorrow after options and futures expiration, then we have that huge bounce up just like previous weeks. I mean, you can see it. It's exact, right? Exact. So, I mean, it does seem like we're following the same pattern right now. But also, why do I think there's going to be a bounce afterwards? Well, just look at what has happened over the last few weeks. This bounce was very significant. So after we hit that bottom, and I mean, these are just week time frames, okay? So, I mean, they're not very long. So if you look at this bounce, that was a pretty good 24% bounce up. Then the week afterwards, if you go from here up, that was about 10%. And then the one after that, which was last week, going to just a few days ago, that was about 14%. So you could see pretty good bounces right after these declines. So if let's just say we hold here, we get anywhere from a 10 to 20% bounce. Where does that put us? Well, 10% bounce would put Bitcoin right back above about 51,000. But if we do see something better, let's say let's just say a 20% bounce, where does that go? Well, that puts Bitcoin around 56,000, right? So we're looking like we're following the same pattern. So anywhere from 51.5 to maybe even 56, that could be coming starting tomorrow. Starting Friday after expirations, going into Saturday, going into Sunday, and possibly going into Monday before maybe we have the pattern repeat again. Now, this is short term. I went back in July. We didn't have this pattern. We didn't have this pattern in July or June or May. This is just something that came up recently. So these patterns, they work until they don't, right? Bitcoin follows it until it doesn't. So there's something going on right now, but we know usually in last week expirations for futures or options, there usually is some volatility, and right now that's what we're seeing. But does that mean it's time to panic? Of course not. Of course not. It's actually the inverse of that. It's actually a good time to be DCA or buying the dip, right? This is what I always say. You want to take advantage when things are low. You don't want to buy when things are skyrocketing, which is what most people do, because when there is a coin that pumps up 30, 50, 100%, I get asked about them massively within the live chat. Like, George, what do you think about this project? The reason why people are asking about it, because they want to FOMO in. No, you want to actually do your research, figure out which ones are great projects to begin with. And when you have a day like today, when things are down 5, 6, 7, 10%, this is the day that you want to be buying in. Not when it's up 30 or 50%. That's not when you want to buy. You want to buy when things are down, right? So today is actually looking like a pretty good day to do some DCA or to be just buying the dip. Unfortunately, yesterday I had to do DCA in my portfolio, but that's okay. That's the whole point of DCA. You follow a schedule, you dollar cost average. In my case, I did add a new coin instead of adding to what I had, because there was just a project that I really I am a fan of, so I decided to DCA into that. But regardless, it's kind of freaked out there for a little bit. But anyways, that is what's going on. That is what's going on. Now, because of today's dip, unfortunately, you could see some massive longs that were liquidated. So, I mean, again, I just don't get it. I just don't get people these days. Okay, first of all, it's very, very, very dangerous to be leveraging Bitcoin. Okay, you just don't know. Especially people that are into leverage, they don't just play with small 2, 3x, 5x leverage. People are playing 10, 20, 100x leverage, and that's when things could go wrong really, really fast. And today, unfortunately, you see a big red for the longs, 126 million liquidated. Yesterday was about 54, which isn't bad, but the day before, another 120 million liquidated. There's just too many liquidations going on. So my best advice to those of you guys that are playing with leverage is to stop. Just to stop. You'll save yourself from getting wrecked. If you buy Bitcoin, say at 50,000, it goes down to 47,000, you don't really lose anything. It's unrealized loss. But if you actually leverage and say you do a 20x long at 50,000, well, you would have got liquidated and you're left with nothing. You can't recover from that. So it's not good. It's not good. Don't play with leverage. All right, what else is there? Well, let's take a look at this. Bitcoin Archive tweeted some very interesting on-chain metrics about Bitcoin being taken off the exchanges. Someone mentioned about Coinbase, but this is overall. You could see overall yesterday about 27.3 thousand Bitcoins, thousands, okay? So this is way up there. It was taken off the exchanges yesterday. This is the second highest withdrawal in almost 2 years. And you do the math, that is an enormous amount of Bitcoins in terms of dollar value. But also, you had about 30,000 Bitcoins taken off of Coinbase. So obviously, 30,000 is higher than 27.3 thousand, which means that some exchanges had inflows. But what does this mean? I think this means that there was an enormous purchase. Someone huge that came in and decided, I need to buy $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, because this is what happens. All these big companies, institutions, or public trade companies, when they want to make a big purchase, who do they go to? They go to Coinbase. Coinbase has an enormous amount of Bitcoins on hand, and they deal with OTC too. And usually when they do sell OTC and put it into their custody service, this is what happens. You see a massive outflow from Coinbase. 30,000 30,000. What does that even equate to? So if you do it at today's level at 47,000, that's $1.4 billion. 1.4 billion. And if you use 50,000, that's like 1.5 billion. So someone huge just bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Okay. So what does this mean? It means that you need to ignore short-term volatility. You need to ignore that Bitcoin fell down to 47,000. It's irrelevant. What's relevant is the supply of Bitcoin keeps decreasing. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more every single week. The supply is being taken out of circulation, and the reserves of Bitcoin on exchanges keeps decreasing over time. And eventually it's going to decrease so much that it's going to cause Bitcoin to be at $1 million plus. But baby steps. 100,000 first, then 200,000, then 500,000, then $1 million eventually. But I still do think we're definitely still on track to get over 100,000 by the end of this year. And who knows what's going to happen after this year. There's just so many things coming. I just did a whole piece about El Salvador yesterday, right? El Salvador is turning up on September 7th, making itself the very first country that accepts Bitcoin as legal tender. That's a big thing. And who knows what other countries are going to follow right afterwards. It's definitely an exciting time. Now, who else agrees with me? Well, Jim Cramer, who likes to flip-flop, it seems like every single week, well, he decided to recommend to his audience that everyone should put 5% of their portfolio in crypto. He doesn't say Bitcoin specifically. He says crypto. And I do think he means more towards Ethereum because he has admitted that he owns a lot of Ethereum. He did go on the air saying he sold almost all of his Bitcoin because he doesn't believe in it anymore, but he does like Ethereum, so he bought a lot of Ethereum, right? This time around, he's saying 5%. 5% of crypto, whatever that means, right? Could be a combination, and I agree. I do agree. I think that's being too conservative. Of course, those of us in crypto, our portfolio is way more than 5%, right? But for the rest of the world, to have 5% is a conservative number, but that 5% in terms of the gains that's expected from that 5% could be way more, can exceed the gains of the 95% of the portfolio for everything else, because we know if you have a large amount of portfolio in gold, that's not going anywhere. You put it into stocks right now, it's not going anywhere. You put it in real estate right now, maybe it's going somewhere, but we know all those are kind of frothy right now, a little bit high, and who knows if a major correction is coming, right? So Jim, yeah, now flip back to being bullish again. Someone else, Robert Kiyoshaki, author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, says Bitcoin is the investment with the greatest upside. He has been a Bitcoin bull for, I don't know, about a year now. He has always been a big gold and silver bull, but now he's included Bitcoin. He dubbed Bitcoin the people's money, and he does believe that Bitcoin has the greatest upside. He is not a fan of the Fed and all the printing, and he does believe that inflation will be hitting hard, and you got to hedge. You got to hedge by buying Bitcoin and then gold and silver. So there you go. Let's see, what else is there? 11% of young Americans have invested their stimulus check into crypto. And this may be the smartest move that they have ever done. We know that in the U.S., there's been many stimulus checks, and it's still being given out. And only 11% of young Americans, I don't know what young means, millennials maybe, or maybe even, I don't even know if there's a new generation past millennials now. But these young Americans could be future millionaires. So they have done the right thing, in my opinion. All right, what else is going on? If you look at the overall Bitcoin hash rate, well, this is pretty good. Moving in the right direction. Like all other metrics right now measuring Bitcoin, This is also moving in the right direction. Total hash rate is just coming up. You could see it's like a V-shaped recovery almost, right? In another month or two, this will be back probably to its previous high at 180 million terahash per second. So this is climbing up. This is positive. The miners definitely are coming in very, very strong right now. No miner dares to be selling any Bitcoin. All that selling is over. This is the reason why Bitcoin fell down to 28,000 not too long ago, because the miners were fearful. A lot of them had to sell, forced liquidations because they were being kicked out of China, but that is no longer the case. Everyone is playing catch up and trying to become the new leader and building up their infrastructure elsewhere in countries like the US and Texas and other states, and also possibly El Salvador using their volcanic energy, geothermal thermal energy, and other countries as well. So this is also very positive. All right, what else is there? Lastly, I want to look at this, and this is crazy. Those of you guys that are trading on Uniswap or Dexus right now, you may be feeling the heat, even though EIP 1559 is working very well. Okay, the total ETH burn has jumped over to over 100,000 ETH. That's 318 million ETH burn within just weeks. Yesterday, when I checked this, we were still at like 93,000 or something, 94,000, and it's just jumped up. Look at the burn rate right now, 9.25 ETH per minute. That is how congested the network is right now. Gas fees is incredible. So even though this is great for Ethereum and is making Ethereum deflationary along with everything else that's going on Ethereum, right? So this is fantastic for Ethereum right now and ETH holders. But what's not fantastic about the situation is the gas fee. And to make a simple swap, this is off. I was trying to do a simple swap on Uniswap. It's like at $130 right now. So obviously those of you guys that are still using DEXs on Ethereum's chain, you're still feeling the heat. EIP 1559 didn't solve gas fees. It just made Ethereum better. Or Ether better, I should say. But, guess what? The good thing is there are alternatives. There are alternatives, right? Obviously, other chains that have very promising AMMs and DEXs. And one of them happens to be my partner, Energy Swap. And Energy Swap does have a full-fledged AM just like Uniswap. In fact, I believe this is built on Uniswap's code. And you could swap pretty much everything, like a ton of tokens, for a lot less fees. In fact, it's minimal. It's almost none, right? So those of you guys that are still trading on Uniswap or even SushiSwap or any other swap that's paying a ridiculous amount of fees on Ethereum, you may want to think about another DEX that also can allow you to trade but have almost near zero fees. And what's great about Energy and Energy Swap is they have just finished their new bridge. So what does that mean? With their new bridge, you can transfer all Ethereum ERC20 tokens onto Energy so that you could utilize them in Energy Swap or other dApps that's running within Energy's ecosystem. So yes, there are alternatives. So just want to let you guys aware that Energy is one of those projects that is building great DeFi tools that everyone could use, while Ethereum is struggling with high gas fees. All right, outside of that, looking at Live Coin Watch, like I said at the beginning, market cap is still over $2 trillion, obviously a little bit lower than our 2.2 high of recently. But you know what? A lot of these high flyers, such as Cardano, right, that almost hit $3 recently, took a little bit of a breather today, although they're still up 17% for the week, so not really that big of a dip. But some of these high flyers like Cardano and Solana, right, and well, actually, I take that back. Solana's actually up, so they're actually not taking a breather. But some others, like Luna, for example, which also has been a high flyer, and you have great projects like VeChain, even Avalanche is finally coming down, Polygon, you have Theta, you have a lot of these, Cosmos, you have a lot of these great protocols that's on sale today. That's on sale. So again, you want to buy when things are low. You don't want to buy when things are high. And that always happens. Retail FOMO always kicks in. Whenever something goes up like 30 or 50%, people are asking, George, should I get into this project? Is this awesome project? You know, what do you think about it, right? But what they really want to know is, George, should I buy in right now on FOMO? And the answer should always be no. You should never FOMO into something after it goes up like 50% in a day, right? What you want to do is actually FOMO into something when it's down 10, 15, 20, 50%, right? But normally that's not the case. But today is one of those good days. And especially so because I do believe going into tomorrow that we will, after expirations, I do think we could have a good bounce afterwards. I think this is following textbook right here. You look at this, you know what? It's like exactly the same pattern, right? Exactly the same pattern. We may be hovering around here for another day until tomorrow. But then if we're following the same pattern as the last 3 weeks, we could see a good significant bounce right afterwards, just like previous weeks of August. All right, that's pretty much it. Let's do some Q&A. Kevin says my license plate reads FOMO. Oh, yes, yes. All right, let me scroll and make sure I didn't miss anything. Jose says Kathy Wood says the stock market is not in a bubble. You know, I before this stream I was watching another video from 4 years ago between Gary Vaynerchuk and Tim Robbins, and they were trying to promote Tim Robbins' book about preparing for a correction, and this was 4 years ago. So think about it. People have been saying there's going to be a massive correction for 4 years now. People have been sitting on cash for 4 years and missing out some of the greatest gains we have seen because of COVID, right? So like right now, people are still guessing, hey, a correction has to be around the corner. A correction has to be here. You know what? There has to be a correction, but people have been saying that for 4 years now. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think the best advice that you know I could give you guys, or the best advice that I've been given and what I'm following, is just to have cash on side. If Kathy Wood is correct and the market's not going to be, is not in a bubble, there's no correction, then great. You know what? Keep doing what you're doing, buying and holding, right? But in case there is one, doesn't mean that you change that strategy. But I think what changes is having enough cash on the side. That's how you could take advantage. I've said this before. If you don't have enough cash on the side, I would say at least 25 to 30% in cash, right? Then build towards that, especially for those of you guys that want to profit take. You asked me about profit taking. If you don't have that 25 to 30% cash, I think that's important, because if we do have a major, say, stock market correction or real estate correction, and that leads to a crypto correction, well, then you're in a position to be able to take advantage and buy those steep discounted crypto, right? So whether or not that correction is coming, I don't know, but the best thing to do, I believe, is to have cash on the side. Is Terry here today? I haven't seen Terry in a while. Wait, someone says Terry's here. Let's see. Let's see here. Antonio says $1 million will never happen. Well, I guess we'll see who's right. If I am right eventually, let's say 10 years, 15 years down the road, then you give me $1 million worth of Bitcoin. How about that? Let's see. ETH needs ETH 2.0. It's coming. Not very far off. It's about 3 months? 3 months, end of December. That is when it's supposed to be out. So all eyes on Ethereum. If they can make a successful switch to Ethereum 2.0, that will be very, very, very fantastic. And the timing of it is perfect because that's towards the end of this 4-year cycle, right? But this 4-year cycle could be different than previous 4-year cycles, so who knows? Who knows? Maybe it just continues on into 2022. Bitbeer said Super Dex launched today. Okay, great. I'm still scrolling, still trying to catch up. Hold on, guys. SG, are you asking the same question every day because you're part of the solve.care team? Is there a future healthcare plus blockchain? Yes. Yes, of course. But it's very hard. Very hard to break into healthcare because there's a lot of regulatory bodies that's checking everything, especially patient data. Very, very important. So, yes, but solve.care have a long way to go. Got deep into TrueFi. Do I still like it? Yes, the concept hasn't changed. They got more attention because they got a huge investment from several prominent VCs and they got listed on Coinbase. But their premise is still the same, uncollateralized loans, which is very interesting. But the stakers are the ones that vote whether or not they should give out those loans. So, I mean, it's very different from everyone else out there. All right, I'm starting to lose out on some of these here. What are the top ADA DEXs looking like? I got pitched one this morning. I think it was ADA DEX or something like that. But the one that I hear most people talk about is Sunday Swap. So we'll see how Sunday Swap is when it's done, but it's waiting for Goguen to be done. Everyone is waiting for Goguen smart contracts to be done on Cardano. We'll see. Jeff, Starbucks on me. Hey, thank you. Unfortunately, $5 won't even pay for a Venti Frappuccino. But I appreciate it. 29, I put a whole stimulus in. If I take profit, it keeps going up. What do I do? Then you're just screwed. I mean, that's why if you want to take profits, fine, but take a little bit off the top or play with house money. So if you're up 100%, then take out 50% so that you took out your original investment and then you let the rest ride. That's the smarter way to do it, right? Otherwise, like what you said, if you put in all your money and then you take it out and then it keeps going up, then you're going to regret. Then you have to buy in at a higher price, right? So just come up with a strategy, the right strategy for you. Normally, if you're taking profits, the first rule is to take out your original investment. Then you let the rest ride. And then the rest that you're riding, set a schedule for yourself. Every 20, 30, 50% that it goes up, take another half off or take 10% off the top, something like that. Anthony asked, do you think energy has a good long future? They've been around since 2017, and they're still executing, which is why they have Energy Swap, Energy Bridge, and there's other things that's coming. So, yes. What else is there? What do you think about Yearn? Just something that I never got into. They were hacked like 3 times. That's what makes me fearful about them. Can you explain how El Salvador is going to avoid the fees of transactions using Lightning, and they can be susceptible for hacking by using Lightning? Are you implied just because they're using Lightning that they're going to get hacked, or they're more likely to get hacked? That's not really true. And they're using their new Kovo app, right, which utilizes Lightning, which not avoids altogether, but minimal fees. So there you go. All right. Someone asked me about options expiration. It doesn't really matter. What you need to worry about is Bitcoin's options expiration. Bitcoin still drives the market, regardless if Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin. But Ethereum's options and futures, that's what you need to worry about. What do you think about Star Atlas? I did see them. They're kind of like an NFT game kind of thing. I was talking to them for a little bit before. It's funny. The weird thing is, not weird, but it's a small world. One of the investors, or the main parent company, the CEO of that was a CEO of a project I used to cover called Tokes. So they have branched off. But it's a small world. I haven't really done a deep dive into them, so I can't say anything else besides that. My audio is lower, probably because I'm just sitting away from my microphone here. Terry asked about KR1. I have no idea what KR1 is. What is KR1? No one even knows what KR1 is. Sanil, thank you. Appreciate that. Should U.S. investors be considering changing their portfolios if the new bill passes? If so, what? No. No, it has nothing to do with a portfolio. It has to do with projects, with wallet makers, with dApp makers, you know. For your portfolio, not really, nothing. And there's a lot. There's a lot to that bill, right? It'll go back and forth. There's still time to make amendments. I mean, there's just a lot. Don't be betting anything, you know, or don't be making any drastic moves because of it. Is it time to take profit from Wilder? Why? I have no idea what project that is. So sure, if you think so. If you think so. Marco says Terry started his own YouTube channel out of frustration because I don't know who KR1 is. Would you put $400 into AMP or GRT? You know what? Out of the two, I would go AMP. I think AMP is more, I don't know, to me it's more fascinating, more relevant. GRT is creating APIs, which really anyone could do. They definitely have the lead, but it's not proprietary or anything like that. I hope you read the press release about DAG and DOD. This is when real world adoption starts. I did not, but it doesn't surprise me because if they're hooked up with the U.S. Air Force already, you know, getting Department of Defense, I mean, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. In fact, DAG is the project I DCA'd into yesterday, or just bought a little more. And you can see they have been on a crazy run since basically June. Not really any pullbacks at all. So they definitely have a lot of traction. Thoughts on Sushi? Talks of it launching on Mover. Biggest DEX on Kusama. Can Sushi compete with Uniswap? You know, Sushi is really trying hard to differentiate themselves. They're multi-chained, and their interface, I think, is a little bit better, but they're just not making any traction on Uniswap. When it comes to Ethereum and all these, you know, launches, everyone wants to be on Uniswap, right? You don't really see any projects really launch on SushiSwap. So yeah, even though they're moving everywhere, and Sushi even moved to, say, Harmony, which is a project I like too, and many other places. I think Binance Smart Chain and maybe now Kusama. I mean, the problem is it just, I don't know what they could do. Uniswap is just by far the leader when it comes to Ethereum based AMM. So does KuCoinSwap or KuSwap have potential? It does, but you know what? It doesn't have a lot of traction right now. That's probably because it's very hard to buy right now. And also they need to have more coins listed on there. That's the thing. You got to get people to use it, right? So can they come up? Yes. So one of the reasons why I'm bullish on KuCoin token itself, because of community chain and dApps like KuSwap, but it needs to have more dApps on it. I mean, more tokens in the swap, I should say. Automotive uploads. I appreciate that. Pete, Pete Swartz says Terry's a spy for the Federal Reserve. Any price prediction for BNB if BTC is at 100,000? Just multiply it. If Bitcoin is at 100,000, I'm just going to round up and say even 3x from here. Though I know 3x is higher than that. It's more like 150,000. But let's just say 3x. BNB could easily be 5x or 6x, right? So what does that put it? 3,000, 3,500. That could easily be the case. Everything, all altcoins, especially the big caps, move in multiples of Bitcoin. Okay, that's just how it is. You could clearly see it with the 1 year performance, right? You could argue Ethereum's moving at 2.5 times, the multiple of Bitcoin. You could see that Cardano at this point in time is moving, 6x Bitcoin? Binance Coin is 6x Bitcoin, right? So if Bitcoin goes up, whatever amount, 5x is not unreasonable. 6x. What are your thoughts on DOC? Is it true that it's American, North American version of VeChain? The answer is no. Just because it's a supply chain blockchain does not mean it makes it equal to VeChain. VeChain has the biggest partners out there. They have a ton of traction. Nothing comes close to the real world usage of what VeChain already has. So DOC sounds like it's just another promising blockchain, maybe from North America. There's a lot of projects like that out there, a lot. But the problem is they can't seem to get any traction. They can't get dApps and users on board, so they're kind of stuck. So that's just how it is. They have to figure it out. Okay. Zachary Barnes said, I sold my VPunk for 3,500 VeChain yesterday. Bought it for a lot less. Staking in VPunk for VPU as well. Sleep if you want. I know VPunk, I was gifted one. And they have been doing very well. A lot of them have been selling. Not nearly as good as CryptoPunk, but they're getting up there. All right. Christian, I appreciate that. All right. So, you know what? I think one of the questions I see a lot of people ask is, what is a good buy today? So let me end it with that, right? With Bitcoin being at 47,000, taking a little breather. And plus, I do think starting tomorrow, going this weekend, we could see a really good bounce from here. Today seems like a pretty good day to be DCing a little bit or buying a little bit based on this dip. But I've went over this many times. I'm going to go kind of glance over it. But from the big caps, which is anything over $10 billion, which the cutoff is right here, right at Luna. There's just so many. BTC goes without saying, but Ethereum and Cardano, I honestly think both of these should be in everyone's portfolio. You just have to have them. BNB is close in there. Like, I've been a big supporter of BNB. BNB should really be in everyone's portfolio. But right now, with all of them in the red, okay, pretty good timing, though they're not down that much. I mean, look at it. 7-day, Cardano and Binance Coin both up 15%. So they're really not down. So it's not time to go like all in on either one, right? But if you've been waiting to buy, this could be a good time. Going down, I think Polkadot, Solana, especially Solana, which is still pumping right now. So today probably not a good day to buy, but I've been saying to buy in Solana for quite some time. I forgot. I created a video maybe months ago where I said, I put 100K into these two projects. And one of them was Solana. Solana, I think PancakeSwap. And I forgot what the average price was. I think that at that time it was like $30 or something, or maybe even under than that. But Solana is one of those, I think it's going to be right up there, right behind Binance Smart Chain, or Binance BNB and Cardano. So all good buys. I mean, but right now Solana not a good buy since it's up. But long term is good. Chainlink, Terra, both of these are fantastic holds. Polygon, fantastic hold. VeChain, fantastic hold. Avalanche, I still think is a little bit too high. They have pumped up way too much. So I do think they're probably going to be flatter for a little bit. But Avalanche seems to be a good one now. Theta is a big one. I've been supporting Theta for quite some time. You have a lot of DeFi plays like Aave and Compound that I support. Also, other chains like Cosmos, Harmony, even Phantom. The new one I just mentioned about Constellation, DAG, I think they're very, very promising. You have game makers like Axie Infinity that's doing very well. A lot of people is really getting into it, and I've been saying hold off on them too. They've been pumped up way too much, but you could see over here, the monthly, they kind of like topping off a little bit. That's usually a sign where, yeah, they may be gearing up for a next leg up, but also you have other games too. Obviously, some of my partners, Illuvium looks very, very promising. VimWorld, which is built on top of VeChain, looks very promising too. And then you have others like PancakeSwap, another AMM, biggest one on Binance Smart Chain that I like. Others like IOTA, Elrond, Algorand. I don't talk about them a lot, but they're also promising ledgers and protocols that are doing good things right now. AMP is another one I support in terms of payment networks. They have done really well. I really like them too. They're actually slightly down. Actually down 7-8% for the last 30 days. Interesting. They have shot up. Now they're taking a breather. But another one I do like is Alchemy Pay, which is a competitor to AMP. I do think that they have a lot of promise too. And something like Cody, which just shot up yesterday because of the Coinbase edition, they have promise as well. And there's several others. I mean, there's just so many out there, right? So what you want to do is look at the ones that are down, right? And then you could take advantage, like KuCoin token or KuCoin shares. I mentioned them before. Harmony, I mentioned. Arweave in terms of decentralized storage play, right? Down 18%, 19% for the week. I like them over Filecoin or any other storage or side coin because they're the backbone for Solana in terms of storage, and that's a really good thing. I mentioned about Phantom, basic attention token I like. Zilliqa has promise too, and they're not up that much recently. T-Fuel is part of Theta. Hollow has promise. Chili's and Decentraland. These are both great NFT projects, but they're not down that much. Helium is another one. Low range, low power mesh network. I do like them a lot. Near Protocols, another kind of like protocol play I like. I mentioned about Compound, Kusama, also promising in terms of being a like a sister chain to Kusama, and they're down about 13% for the week, so it could be a good time to load up on them too. So there's a lot of good projects out there, guys. A lot of good projects. You got to pay attention, do some research, and take advantage. Take advantage of the dips when there is some, because whenever things come up, they come up in a big way, and we have seen that for the last month, 2 months, and I do think we're going to see more of that as we get closer to the end of the year. We're going to see more and more highs. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. That's pretty much it. What's the best platform to trade XRP? Go on KuCoin. No, I have Relixer. Have I seen Crypto Bubbles? No, I have not. In terms of person, I'm assuming. Why is VeChain so slow? You got to give it time. Everything. Good things come to those who wait. The way to make the most money in crypto is to have the most patience. Honestly, that's really it. To find the right projects, stick with them, and have patience, and basically hold them. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. As always, smash a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, have a good one.